Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. Tell me if you've seen this before. A performer comes on stage in front of a live audience. The fate of the performer lies in the hands of 3 judges. If they like you, maybe you move on. If they don't, they hit a buzzer and you're done. Sound familiar? Of course it does. That's the formula of no fewer than 5 currently running shows on primetime TV. But let's go back in time, about 50 years, to a show with that very formula. But the talent might be a roller skating chicken, or Flight of the Bumblebee played with one's armpits, or a country song played by moving a pants zipper up and down. Talent schmalent. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, one gong for a moment of fame. Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
As I'm recording this podcast, a network television talent show is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Although I'm not a viewer, I applaud the show's creators for building a long-standing network television program and launching the careers of many contestants. It's a polished talent show with an emphasis on talented contestants vying for a chance at stardom. This got me thinking about a show from the 70s, which was the antithesis of a talent show, titled The Gong Show, which ran on network television and in syndication from 1976 through 1980.
From Hollywood, almost live, it's The Gong Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host and the star of our show, the incurably outrageous Mr. Chuck Berry.
The Gong Show provided any John Doe, freak, geek, or semi-talented contestant not Warhol's 15 minutes of fame, but 45 seconds in the spotlight before the menacing gong was struck and the failed performer swept off the stage like so much debris, eerily reminiscent of a victim dragged out of the Roman Colosseum. I was 18 and a senior in high school when the show premiered. I saw the absurdity of the program, but really grooved off the show's creator and host, Chuck Berry. His enthusiasm, rapier wit, and sometimes hard to see but nonetheless apparent empathy for the many failed pathetic acts which appeared resonated with me.
These guys coming out now belong in show business about as much as prune juice belongs in Mexico. Here's a couple of performers who are always wearing the latest fashions. That's because they're shoplifters. This next guy chose show business as a career because he wasn't doing so well in his regular line of work. He's selling laundry detergents to nudist colonies. These next two aren't performing. They run a restaurant where the food is so bad. The sign in the window says, "Sorry, we're open."
Chuck Berry as MC of The Gong Show was a combination barker outside a strip club, carny promoter, and kindly attendant with a sense of humor inside a mental ward. Chuck Berry came out of network television programming and decided to produce his own shows. He's the legendary creator of the 60s dating game, which included handsome men and beautiful women attempting to woo each other in a contest format. The show launched the careers of many stars.
A former beauty title holder, she creates beauty of her own on canvas, and as an accomplished artist and sculptress, she hopes to open her own gallery. She's from Corpus Christi, Texas, finds relaxation in many outdoor sports. We're delighted to welcome to the dating game, Farrah Fawcett. Mr. Universe 5 times, Mr. Olympia 4 times. The current Mr. Olympia, Arnold Schwarzenegger. She was the girl in the T-Bird in American Graffiti, and her book of poems entitled Touch Me is being hailed as a bestseller. I'd like you to join me in a warm dating game. Welcome for Suzanne Summers. She loves sketching and drawing, playing basketball and candy and bubble gum. Please join me in a special dating game. Welcome for a fine young man, Michael Jackson. Good luck to everybody, and here's...
Chuck also created the Newlywed Game in the 60s, which pitted handsome and beautiful young newlyweds against each other in a contest format where they revealed, by today's standards, milquetoast sexual innuendo about themselves.
Gentlemen, where specifically will your wife say is the weirdest place she's ever gotten the urge to make whoopee? The weirdest place. Bill?
In the bathroom sink.
The visual's a killer, isn't it? Where specifically is the weirdest place that you personally, girls, have ever gotten the urge to make whoopee? The weirdest place. Olga? Yes, Olga?
In the ass?
Chuck Barris could have been a contestant on his own show, which is my take when I watch it today. Chuck's exuberance, humor, and at times maniacal behavior is contagious. Why Chuck went off the reservation or off the rails from a successful 60s television producer to the Gong Show in the 70s is unknown, but I'll offer a theory in a minute. Chuck Barris was a successful and talented guy. In addition to producing shows, he wrote the music for the game shows and had a songwriting credit, including Palisades Park.
Last night I took a walk after dark. I swing a place called Palisades Park. To have some fun and see what I could see. That's where the girls are. I took a ride on a shooting.
First recorded by Freddie Cannon in '62, and then recorded by the Ramones in '89. He wrote 3 novels and 4 memoirs. He sold his production company in the 80s for $200 million, according to my research. I also found he was enduring a family crisis during the Gong Show, which would have taxed the sensibilities of anybody. Add to it the supposed CIA self-reported covert career, which became a book and a movie. You ponder whether he was undergoing a midlife crisis or we all weren't in on the joke. Barris debunked the CIA story according to my research. Why make the Gong Show? My take is Chuck, like Benjamin Braddock in The Graduate, was tired of staring into the fishbowl inside the perfect bedroom, inside the perfect house, in the perfect neighborhood with a perfect future laid out for him. Like Ben, Chuck rebelled. It was the slick 70s full of disco music, bright lights, polyester clothes, high heels for both sexes, and an endless party for the in crowd or those pretending to be a member. But everybody was a far cry from Travolta's portrayal of Tony Manero in Saturday Night Fever. I believe Chuck wanted to create an opportunity for the tired, poor, huddled masses to have a shot at Warhol's 15 minutes of fame, which was 45 seconds on the Gong Show, to step under the lights and shine, or most often crash. It's reported budding contestants would drive across country and sleep in their cars in order to get a chance at auditioning to be a contestant. Those fortunate to get recorded had their audition tape reviewed by Barris's staff, and the best or worst was chosen to appear.
All those heaven, West Virginia, riding mama, choo-choo waters. Life is dusty, dusty in the sky, dusty in the moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place where I belong.
Ever since I was a little kid, my friends have been telling me what a good burper I was. And now I'm going to kind of show you how I got started. When I was a little kid, my mother, I think, used to hit me a little bit too hard in the back when she was burping me. So most kids went, I went, Then I got a little bit older, and I started picking up words here and there. Like the first word I ever said was, Mama. She didn't talk to me for a week after that. I got a little bit older, started going to school, and I learned the alphabet.
Barris had no intention of hosting the show himself. He was an emergency replacement for the original host, who bowed out. Barris was originally ill at ease as the host, but it didn't take long before he was working so loosely on camera that many viewers assumed he was intoxicated from alcohol or other drugs. That was my take. In an interview with the Archive of American Television, Barris stated he was never drunk and forbade the use of drugs by anyone in his production company. You be the judge. Chris Beard created The Gong Show. He was a comedy writer, best known for his work as a writer on Rowan Martin's Laugh and See My Podcast, and wrote and produced television specials for Elvis, Bob Hope, Sonny and Cher, Bill Cosby, Steve Martin, Jim Carrey, Andy Williams, the Jackson 5, the Osmonds, Dinah Shore, Dinah Ross, and Lucille Ball. Milton DeLugg was a popular musician and band leader during the 40s and 50s. He got the Gong Show job by default as the longtime music director of NBC. He was responsible for any network project that required special music. DeLugg was very much attuned to the facetious tone of the show, and he appeared alongside Barris in recurring comedy skits as various characters, including Bad Joke Purveyor, Naso Literatus, and the aged philosopher Old Drool. The show had some kind of funky fume which resonated with show creators, producers, performers, and viewers. As I said, the contestants all got 45 seconds to perform their act without being gonged, and given a score by each of the three judges on a scale of 0 to 10 for a maximum possible score of 30. The original program's regular judges included, to name a few you might recognize, Jamie Farr, J.P. Morgan, Artie Johnson, Rex Reed, Pat McCormick, Rip Taylor, and Phyllis Diller.
Here is a terrific lady who after today's show leaves for a breeding farm where she'll be teaching stud horses how to arch their backs. The wonderful, she is cute. J.P. Morgan.
I think they should change their name to the Weenies.
J.P. Morgan was a singer, actress, and I contend best known for being a regular judge on The Gong Show. To this viewer at 18, she was very sexy, very cool. She was in on the absurdity of the program, mimicking Barris's personality and irreverence. She was banned from the show for exposing her breasts during a contestant's bit. The winners got a goofy trophy and Screen Actors Guild scale pay, which was about $500. Please understand the talent or lack thereof of these acts are 80% visual, and unless you watch them on YouTube, you may not appreciate them, but when you catch the dub, listen to the act. What do you hear in the spoken word? Pathos, talent, or in particular, listen to Chuck Barris and appreciate how much enthusiasm he is bringing to the show.
Here he is, folks. Here he is. Hey, folks. Folks, here he is. Here comes the Prince of Fun. Hey, folks, here comes the Baron of Buffo. Hey, folks, here comes, folks, the Wizard of War. Here comes the unknown comer.
It wasn't all failure, dashed dreams, and human carnage. Two biggest Gong Show successes were Andrea McArdle and Cheryl Lynn. McArdle was 12 years old and appeared on an episode in 1976, shortly before she won the leading role in the hit Broadway musical Annie. Following Lynn's Gong Show appearance in 1976, she received a recording contract with Columbia Records and recorded a top 40 disco hit, Got to Be Real, released in 1978. Paul Rubens, best known as Pee Wee Herman, appeared on the show, and an unknown band called the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, which evolved into Oingo Boingo, led by future film and television score composer Danny Elfman, also appeared. There were others, but the show's success was built upon the corpses of the failed. Some of the most memorable and my favorite acts on the show included Gene the Dancing Machine. He was a black man who worked as a stagehand who would often spontaneously dance on stage to the delight of the audience and judges. Host Chuck Barris would introduce him and the crowd would react enthusiastically. His performances became a regular highlight, and Barris went crazy when introducing Gene. Barris got Gene the job as a stagehand, and Gene, I understand, became the first black member of the union representing stagehands and other production members working behind the camera. The Unknown Comic, played by Murray Lampert. He played a comedian who performed with a paper bag over his head, dressed in a gaudy sport coat, disco-style shirt, and flared pants. His shtick was pure one-liners. This distinctive gimmick made him stand out. He was able to take his act on the road for decades.
I gotta tell you, I haven't been feeling too good myself. I went to this Hollywood party last week. Wilt Chamberlain was there. I thought I'd be cool. I said, "Hey, Wilt, how's the weather up there?" He said, "It's raining," and he spit on me. I was in this restaurant yesterday, right? Waiter comes over, he has his thumb on my steak. I said, "What are you doing with your thumb on my steak?" He said, "I didn't want to drop it again." I tell you, I'm in a pretty good mood. I took my dog to a flea circus. He stole the show.
Mostly, The Gong Show was a breeding ground for bizarre and untalented performances. The show's structure encouraged unique acts regardless of traditional talent. Chuck Barris clashed with network censors, intentionally bringing in risque acts. In 1977, one act called "Have You Got a Nickel" made it into the show. The act consisted of two teenage girls, both wearing shorts, sitting cross-legged on the stage floor and silently eating popsicles in a manner that suggested they were performing fellatio on the frozen treats. The nature of their act led to the two girls being referred to as the Popsicle Twins. I watched the bit recently, and even by today's standards, it made me cringe.
Think of "Have You Got a Nickel"?
I don't understand it altogether.
A zero. That's a disgrace. Nobody has ever gotten a zero. Jamie Farr.
I don't think they give a lick.
J.P. Morgan.
Do you know that that's the way I started?
After the Popsicle Twins incident and the episode in which J.P. Morgan exposed her breasts on air during a Gene the Dancing Machine segment, Barris had been given an ultimatum by the network's Standards and Practices Department to deliver less racy shows or NBC would cancel the program, and did in 1978. Barris managed to have the last word on the show's demise, however, appearing as a contestant, playing in a country music band called the Hollywood Cowboys with the house band's rhythm section.
I seen a lot of good folks die, a lot of bills to pay. Well, I give a shirt right off my back if I had the guts to say, take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. My woman left, she took all the reason that I've been working for.
Barris sang a modified version of Johnny Paycheck's "Take This Job and Shove It," giving NBC the finger during the song to accentuate the point. NBC censored the gesture with the word "oops" superimposed over a still shot of the set. Right on, Chuck. You made the network's money. In return, they canceled you. They got what they deserved. Why did the Gong Show happen? Barris delivered escapism to many viewers not fitting in with the disco crowd, who appreciated seeing others failing more miserably than themselves inside the sick, soupy political and economic stew of the 70s. I lived it. See my podcast, They Shoot Horses, Don't They?, for more about this human misery theme. I give the contestants credit for stepping out and into the spotlight, even if for the viewer's perverse pleasure. I watched The Gong Show as an 18-year-old kid, but I wouldn't watch it today. It's a Roman orgy clawing and scratching catfight inside the day room of a psych ward, and twisted car crash of broken human souls, all assembled into a 30-minute bad dream. In defense of the Gong Show, it laid the foundation for future legit talent shows to provide an opportunity for struggling talent to catch a break. And these producers and contestants owe a tip of the hat to Chuck Barris. Until I see you next time, please leave behind a soft footprint.
Bye, y'all.
To audition for The Gong Show, call area code 213-466-9153.
And yes, The Gong Show was outrageous, at times brilliantly so, crazy and weird. And you know what? We loved every minute of it. Check out complete episodes of The Gong Show on YouTube. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's collection of fiction at the Jonathan B. Farini Story Collection at jonathanfarini.com. Also, look for Jonathan's short story, The Line in the Lake, in which two strangers find themselves on opposite sides of an invisible line, which unexpectedly guides them to a future reunion. Already published by Mobius Magazine and Scars Publications, it's been published yet again, this time in Literary Heist Magazine. Find it at literaryheist.com or drop an email to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.